Are you guys excited? We're about to reveal our newest fan-inspired character, and I know a lot of you folks really enjoyed our video on developing Lady Umber's character last time, so I figured we'd kind of do the same thing here and walk through kind of everything that went into developing this newest character. So before we get into any of that, though, I want to take a step back and actually talk about the fan who inspired this character. So my buddy Brian here first got introduced to Galatune. I believe it was a few years back during our first time demoing at Gem City Comic Con, and then we met up with him again when he went into one of our first Galatune tournaments, actually, which was a small tournament that we called the Tournament of Bells. We held it at a Bell Book and Comic. And since then, Brian's continued to be an avid Galatune player, someone who has a real love for the game and a real love for the game lore. And he's gone on to help us with a lot of events and is pretty much an expert on the mechanics and strategy for Galatune. So he's actually currently residing as our head tournament judge. So there's a good chance that you guys have ran into Brian before at some of our other Galatune events, and definitely if you made it to our Youmacon Nationals last year, where Brian was the head judge there, and he's also been head judge at most of our official tournaments. So Brian has geeked out with me numerous times talking about Galatune lore, and he's got several ideas for his own kind of fanfic characters. And so I was really excited when we started talking about actually taking one of his fanfic concepts and developing it into an official character. Now, just like all of our Galatune characters, this isn't going to be a one-off promo. We put a lot of thought into behind the scenes of actually anchoring this character into our lore. And this character especially is just so chock full of some tasty lore references. So let me back you into that. So the story of our latest fan character, Beiron, actually begins thousands of years ago during the days of the Terraform War. Without spoiling too much, I will tell you that humans are not native to planet Lyra. Once upon a time, humans were interstellar invaders who came from space to planet Lyra and attempted to conquer the planet and make it a new home for humanity. Well, during those wars, this new character, Beiron, was actually one of their top generals. So this is a guy who very much believed in the human cause and gave his all for his people. So at one point, Beiron sacrifices himself in a really heroic move to try to win a pivotal battle for the humans and end the war. However, unknown to him at the time, his sacrifice was actually in vain. He gave his life at that point, but despite that, the humans ended up losing the battle and ultimately losing the war. Now, unfortunately, Beiron's soul doesn't know rest, because even though he died thousands of years ago, we're going to fast forward thousands of years into the future to continue his story. So let's go back to the modern era of Galatune, the modern era of planet Lyra, during the time of the Dawn of Borrowed Light, which is where most of our starter kit characters fall into the timeline. So back into the modern timeline, we have this extremely powerful Notre who is experimenting with ways to subjugate and weaponize dragons. And I hope you caught this, but if you remember from our Umber video, that the Lady Umber character was very much involved in this conflict too. So this latest fan character has ties to Lady Umber and to this powerful, mysterious Notre, which is actually going to be our next fan character after Beiron. So getting back to Beiron's story though, so we have this very powerful Notre who's experimenting with ways to manipulate the dragons. And what she does, she essentially dives really deep into the mind of a dragon to explore its memories and try to figure out how dragons work. And see, dragons are so old that this dragon has had thousands and thousands of years of memories and history inside its mind. And this Notre dives so deep into this dragon's ancient memories that she actually bridges the gap between the realm of memories and the real timeline of planet Lyra. And at that point, she actually makes contact with the ancient soul of Beiron. Essentially, what this Notre does, accidentally, she's taking this guy Beiron, who died thousands of years ago, and plucking his memory from his natural timeline and pulling him into the modern day era. Well, sort of. Essentially, she's resurrecting Beiron, but it's not exactly the true Beiron, because only part of his self survived. Specifically, only his rage, anger, hatred, and fear. So the worst part of this ancient soldier, his mind and body, is being brought into the modern day era. So I don't know how deep you'll have explored the Galatune lore, but time and space are very interesting in our universe because it works very much like a computer code. So think of this new character as kind of a hack in the system, a kind of a glitched hack in the system. So this Notre is exploring the deep files of this timeline and essentially pulling in a corrupt file of this person's soul and misplacing it into the folders for the era that is the modern timeline. So he's a very corrupted, glitchy version of his original self. In fact, he's so chaotic and glitchy that he essentially embodies chaos itself. So on the higher level cosmic lore of Galatune, there's two major forces acting against each other. You have the force of order, which is powered by the Galatune itself, which is the underlying code behind the universe. And then you have the opposite side of that, which is chaos and disorder, embodied by a being which we call discord. So since this new character Beiron is essentially a very concentrated vessel of darkness and chaos, he's essentially like an avatar for discord itself. So we gave him this ability called Child of Disc, which essentially means that he is such a concentrated point of evil that he is like a child of the embodiment of evil itself. So we were working with Yamer Pro again to visually illustrate and bring this character to life, and she did such an incredible job. Once you guys see it here, we had so many lore references crammed into this one character, but she did such a beautiful job of balancing them all out together. But starting back, we were talking to Brian about what he's into, and you see Brian's a League of Legends player, and he's a fan of Scion, so we're definitely looking at Scion for some visual references. We're looking at someone who's a dark berserker juggernaut type character. We were also looking at Soul Calibur's Nightmare, and looking at a bunch of just hulking demonic knights. I thought it would be fun to kind of mix in some concepts of druggers and zombies, and kind of he's this evil undead knight warrior. But beyond just his basic concept, we wanted to tie him into where he lands in the universe. So visually, we wanted to make sure they had strong ties to the point of the Terraform War, where the humans are fighting the rest of planet Lyra. So if you guys followed our Duality project, you might have seen the character Supreme Commander Ashtor Protova, and Supreme Commander was just that. He was the number one dude leading the human army. So we took a look at Protova's armor, and we wanted to make sure that this new character had some visual references to that, so that you could tell that they were part of that same army. We also took a look at some of the other samples of the ancient human technology, including, of course, World Judge and Buddy. This character also has ties to a couple different action cards. We were taking a look at the Cursed Armor and Cursed Sword set, who actually tie into some of the tactics that the humans used in this dark, bloody battle against the rest of the planet. And we also wanted to reference the action card, the Arms of Kendall, because see, that card was actually a shout out to Brian. Brian had the idea of having this claw type card that was both offense and defense, and so the lore on that card references the Kendall as this sort of cursed bloodline. So you see that when Beiron fell in battle all those years ago, he was survived by his brother, and so that went on through history to develop into this lineage of humans on planet Lyra who are still kind of regarded and kind of like as a cursed, undesirable family because of their alignment to the war back in the day. So, are you ready? Let's do this. Here is the first look at our new fan-inspired character, Beiron. Just kidding. This is his pixelated elbow shot. Ta-da! Yeah, sorry, I can't help myself. I just like teasing people. Okay. For real now, for real. Let's see what's connected to that elbow there. Boom, Beiron, General Beiron Kendall. So yeah, you can definitely see he is undead. Well, not exactly undead, but he's kind of our version of an undead. He's this corrupt version of his former self. So he's got the exposed ribs, he's got the bones kind of poking out of his arm and leg, but you see he's still got a lot of flesh tissue on him too. So he's not like a wimpy, frail, skeletal type character. He's still that hulking juggernaut. You can see a strong reference for sure to the Cursed Armor when you take a look at the basic shape of the helmet and the shoulder plates here. But you'll also notice that it's not exactly the same version of the Cursed Armor that you saw in the action card, and it's got some more elaborate elements and some tie-ins to that kind of technological style that we saw on Ashtor Protova. The sword too is a very strong callback to the cursed sword, but you can see it's kind of an awakened, stronger version of that cursed sword. So it definitely ties into that lineage, but has again that stronger, more intense look, and we've evolved it into kind of a broadsword style. We chose to have half of his helmet kind of crumbling off so that you can see a little bit more of the face and see more how that ties into the facial structure of the real fan, because I always like doing that, kind of modeling the character itself visually after a little bit of the real life fan. I always think that that's a lot of fun. And once we develop this further out into color, you'll also see that Beiron will have this really intense, evil looking aura to him, because again, he is this vessel for concentrated chaos and darkness. So here we go, the official card character bio for General Beiron Kendall. In life, you were a zealous leader dedicated to humanity's dream of Neoterra. You brought great pain to many, and your history is soaked with blood. But in the end, you sacrificed everything for your cause. However, you do not know eternal rest. An incomplete, corrupt version of your soul was pulled through time by the powers of a mysterious Notra. Now, you are the very embodiment of discord. You are but a shadow of your former self, and all that remains is a husk of hatred, fear, and anger. Compelled by strange forces, you ceaselessly hunt the Notra who brought you to this age, destroying all life in your path. Oh, so yeah, I forgot to mention that. So he is kind of this wandering, chaotic zombie berserker who's just always searching for the source of power that brought him back to life against his will. So I was really excited about that too, talking to Brian and talking to our other fans, that we're making this effort to connect all of our recent fan characters into the same story arc. So Lady Umber, who was a product of that dragon experimentation, as well as the Notre in charge herself, who is the one orchestrating all of that dragon manipulation, and then General Beiron, who is an accidental byproduct of that experimentation. So the three characters are eventually going to come in contact with each other and be at constant odds with each other, with Umber trying to figure out her backstory and her origins and the truth of where she came from, with Beiron kind of mindlessly seeking out the source of his power, and then with the poor Notre trying to escape all the evils that she's brought into the world. So I'm really looking forward to developing more of that. But thanks again, everyone, for listening to me go on and on about all of the background that went into developing our characters. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you look forward to seeing the final art for Beiron. And next month we hope to have the line art revealed for that Notre character that I mentioned, who actually brought Beiron into this world. And yeah, if you guys enjoyed this and you want to help see us keep on going, definitely check out our G3 program and take a look at all the new merch we have on our website. We just added hats and pillows and all sorts of crazy stuff. And if you want to be our next fan character, definitely check that out on our G3 page. Thanks, everyone.